You just looked through the principles of design again to review the meanings of each principle of design. Now let's look at composition. And composition is the overall arrangement of an artwork, or how the elements and principles are organized. Artists use the principles of design to make sure that their work looks more interesting. If you look at this work by Takashi Murakami, I want you to consider how has he used emphasis, pattern, variety, and movement throughout his painting. Your eye might have gone directly through to that red tongue, which would be a place of emphasis. Look at how those black triangles also guide your eye across that shape. There's movement because of those circles and the diagonal lines, the diagonals of those triangles, that orange line which takes your eye to the eye, and then those other circles which all go all the way to the corner of the space. There's a variety of colors, and then the colors and the shapes are also creating pattern because of the way that they're repeated. When we're thinking about composition, in a simple term, we might think of how do we make an artwork more successful. In the past, we've looked at composition as activating our space and doing what we call dog, which is drawing big, overlapping objects, and going off the edges of the page. Usually, in the past, when you've created artwork, you've done dog to make your artwork more interesting. Now what we want to do is make it more complicated by following the composition rules. The composition rules state that the elements must touch the four sides of the picture, that there needs to be an off-center place of emphasis to draw our eye to, that there needs to be an activation of the negative space, which very simply means that what are you going to do in the background? And how will you create interest in the background, which is the negative space? That you need items which are overlapping, and that the elements are creating movement on variety across the space. We are moving toward creating what is our name design composition. For the name design, you must follow the rules of composition to create an interesting design using your name. In the name design, you will use your name as the subject matter and the three forms of typography. For your final design, you must have your name going multiple times on the space and touching four sides of the page. You need an area of emphasis, which is off-center. You're going to activate the negative space. Make sure that you have your name overlapping and touching, and you want to create a sense of movement. Now you will create two sketches as plans for your final name design composition. For your sketches, you are creating rough drafts of what you're going to do in your final name design. In your name design composition, you must have your whole first name once as a place of emphasis. Consider what you can do to the font and around the font to create this space as a place of emphasis. Then you will add your name 5 to 7 more times, going off the four edges of the page. You must use each form of typography, Roman, Gothic, and text. After you have each form of typography, then it is your choice which fonts you use. But remember, you're still trying to create interest. Consider them creating movement by changing directions and using diagonals. You must have your names overlapping. And I want you to consider, how will you use variety to create more interest? And what kinds of patterns will you use around the letters of your name as you make the work all come together in the end? You must create 2 different sketches as 2 different ideas. They do not need to be colored. They don't have to be fully finished. They're just 2 sketches. You can work on the back of the same paper that you did your fonts practice, or you can use a new sheet of paper. That is your choice. When you are finished, you're going to take a picture of both drawings, your 3 fonts practice and your 2 sketches, and attach both pictures to your typography and composition assignment in Teams. If you do have a question, make sure that you ask Ms. Reed,